This episode will not end until we get to the next size. Strong Style Americas has been on the brink of medium size for the past few episodes, and it's time to make one final push to make it across the line with this special 2-hour episode. Grab yourself a drink and some snacks and get yourself comfortable, as it's time to lock in and finally get the job done. And if you haven't already, drop a like on the video as we once again push for 400 likes to help unlock the next episode. Head over to the Patreon where you can gain access to several save points from the series, including where we finish things off at the end of this video. And be sure to head to TEWDB.com and purchase the best wrestling game on the planet, TEW IX, using the banner at the top of the site. And we're back in the save once again for some more Strong Style Americas as we try and push towards the next size, which will happen in this episode, and I'm going to make damn sure of it as well. And if it takes longer than the current tour, we will go into next month to make it happen. And just as a refresher as to where we are, we have to get one more popularity point in the Mid-South to get us to 59, and we also have to get 35 in the Southwest, which is currently at 33. So 2 points to go there as well. And I do believe it is possible to get it done in the month of May, which we're in now. And in terms of May's schedule, we do have the first in a while propaganda show, the first time since March, and that will be now held back in the Mid-South, but as a lesser show rather than a major show in another region. This so we can have a good attendance and sort of benefit from those ticket sales. And we're also going to have 3 more lesser shows throughout the month as we bring you the Mayhem tour. And this was suggested many times in the comments when we first introduced the touring schedule, and for May we needed a name, and many people said sort of Mayhem, and what I've gone with is just Mayhem itself. And this kind of throws me back to the days as a kid playing WCW Mayhem on the PS1, so it's kind of a name that sticks with me. So we're going to go with that, and then we're going to finally conclude the month with Strong Style 57 towards Strong Style 60, which will be our biggest show yet. And looking ahead, we are setting up the Women's World Cup, which will happen throughout the month of June, before we go to the Strong Style Showdown in the month of July, which sets us up perfectly for the summer series and then ultimately the road to Strong Style 60. So it's going to be an intense few months of action with lots of trophies and championships on the line, and it starts today with the Mayhem Tour, which will be a tour with a bit of an edge, as we'll see today. And of course, in the last episode, we did see the new heavyweight champion crowned with Eric Hammer defeating Alex Kane, ending his 448-day reign under MMA rules, much to the surprise and delight of the comments section below, with some people kind of questioning the decision of ending Kane's run, which, as I mentioned in the episode itself, is something I felt myself, but also I didn't want Eric Hammer's career to end with no championships whatsoever. And yeah, he's now won his first title of his career, and it's a pretty big one. And we will see, of course, the return of Hate as well, who had the month of April off following the attack from Shun Skywalker's men, and maybe we'll get closer to finding out who was behind the masks in today's episode, but we'll see as well. And first, we do have some admin to do. Now, one of the first things I want to do is actually, sadly, get rid of Emmy Sakura. Now, Emmy has been a road agent with us for a long time now, and we did sign her back in July 2026, so actually almost 3 years ago now. And yeah, unfortunately, she will be leaving us. This because we're just trying to tidy up the Backstage staff somewhat, as we mentioned in the last episode, and I think we've got one too many road agents at this point. And whilst Emmy does have some other roles in the company, more specifically she is a member of the Inner Circle as the trainer of both the men's and women's divisions, and she's also on the creative team. However, the thing is, she has bad booking chemistry with Janai Kai, who we want to kind of build up as a long-term creative for us, with her gaining skill from Thunder Rosa and also improving on her own back as well, just from being around the team. And also with Emmy, in terms of the Inner Circle, she isn't needed because we have LJ Cleary, who now is a professional after rehabilitating from his bully status, which makes him perfect for the role of trainer thanks to his natural trainer attribute, something that Emmy also has. And that means we're going to be offering her a new contract, but it will be only for one appearance. And the next time she road agents a match, which will be on Propaganda, that will be her final time working for us, at least for now, and at which point we can then add LJ Cleary to the training duties. And it also means that we can sign another person for the booking team, somebody that I've already got my eye on. And it is actually somebody from Dragon Gate, or at least he was at the start of the save, and that is Genki Horiguchi. Now, he's a retired wrestler, somebody that's known as somewhat of a comedy character in Dragon Gate, and he has a gimmick where he goes to fire elastic bands at his opponents, and it always backfires and ends up hitting him in the face. And yeah, we're going to be bringing him in though, potentially as a manager, which is his role, and I kind of see him as a sadistic kind of heel manager, and he does have some good charisma, so he would be good for the role. And one of the options I was looking at for him was to manage Levaniel, who I think kind of also has that kind of crazy aspect to him. But we will see how it goes, and we'll try and find someone that fits later in the episode. But we won't be bringing him in just yet, and as I say, we'll wait for Emmy to leave first. And actually, going back to what we were talking about earlier with Eric Hammer, I want to just highlight his popularity growth in the Mid-South recently after winning the title. So you can see here that a year ago he had 27 popularity in the Mid-South, and it did start to fall off a little bit, going down to 23 in November. But since his recent push and his retirement run, he has gone up to 28, 29, 31, and actually now 41 after the big win last month. So yeah, I thought that was something worth pointing out, that he is up there in terms of popularity now and is considered well known by the fans at this point, and maybe we can even get him to become a star or major star by the time he retires, which would be nice to see. And I think what I'm going to do as well is run a series of open challenges for Eric Hammer to build up his reign a little bit, and have one at least on the Mayhem tour every single show. So that's what we're going to do, and it'll probably be outsiders that come in. Yeah, speaking actually of the heavyweight division then, we've got some good segues here. What I've decided to do is reduce the weight limit of the title. Now, the weight class before, between the junior heavyweights and the heavyweights, was maximum junior heavyweights would have to weigh 220, and then heavyweights would be 221 and above. However, I have reduced this now by £10, which kind of opens up our options in terms of bringing in some heavyweight talent. Now, in boxing, heavyweights is actually £200 and up, and I think in UFC it's 205 and up, if I remember rightly. So our heavyweight division is considered heavier than UFC and boxing, and there may be even room to reduce that going forward. But I think for now, in terms of having a good distinction between heavy and not so heavy, I'm going to keep it at 210 for now for the split, which actually does open up one move to the heavyweight division. So if we go from weight range 211 to 219, which would be people that were previously junior heavyweights but will now be heavyweight, and we set this to wrestler as well, you'll see that Malachi Black is on the list, as is Matt Riddle, who actually was already working as a heavyweight technically, as we just kind of kayfabed his weight, even though he weighs 216 pounds. But yeah, this now means Matt Riddle officially falls into the weight limit legitimately, and Malachi Black, who is 211 pounds, just on the mark, also falls into the heavyweight division now. And I think the junior heavyweight division is stacked at this point, and I think that's fair to say. And maybe even Malachi Black might get lost in that mix, given that he's not on the level of a Shun Skywalker, not on the level of a Kevin Blackwood. And a move to the heavyweight division would put him in good stead, I think, or better stead going forward. So he will be moving across to the heavyweight division. Also, something else I want to do is offer Thunder Rosa a new contract. Now, her deal is set to expire this month on the 19th of May, and I want to keep her around because she's good for Janai Kai, who is of course her protege, and she's also a good road agent as well, and can occasionally wrestle when we need her to. So we're going to be offering her a new contract, and we're going to apply a written contract template And we're going to up the merchandise to 10% for now. I can't remember what it was on before. Actually, if we go back, we can see she wants 25. So we will offer 20 actually instead. But let's apply the template again. We'll go to 20 and we're going to make this a 3-year deal. It won't be an exclusive, of course, and she will be free to work other places, but it just means she can't request a pay rise. And we will offer instead 800. Actually, we'll go with 850, which is what she's already on, as you can see at the top there. So we'll kind of just extend what she's already got. So let's make that offer then, and she is happy to sign it apparently. So let's get that done. And just to note, she is whatever is needed, so she can work backstage and as a wrestler. So yeah, Thunder Rosa will be sticking around for the time being. And also what I want to do is go through the list and actually ask wrestlers to get into shape. Now also though, I would like to first request a couple of weight increases. So if we go to 200 for weight range and 210 for the maximum, you can see that Lavaniel is actually on the cusp of being a heavyweight. Now, again, the heavyweight division does need names. So what I'm going to try and do is ask him to actually go up a size and gain weight. And hopefully that can get him above the 210 mark. So let's see if he agrees and actually says, I'm not interested in gaining weight as it might affect my position in GWF. Okay, that's fine. And let's see if there's anyone just below 210. So maybe if we go to 195, I'm not sure how much people would increase by. So actually Shun Skywalker's 198 pounds, so there is a chance that he could move up to the heavyweight division at some point. And you can see here Brent Backlund, interestingly, is 199 pounds. So could we get him to go even higher? Let's find out. Let's ask him to gain weight, and he's not really interested in doing that at this point of his career. That will do, though. I want to keep, of course, Shun Skywalker in the junior heavyweight division for now. But what I will do instead then, and I needed to do that first because I was going to do this after, and that is go through and make sure everyone is in tip-top shape and ask them to get into better shape. And of course, ripped is the most, so Adam Priest can't be asked. But we'll start with Egil Blanc, and I'll stop every time somebody says yes. So let's see if Egil says yes. And he hasn't agreed. Why don't we ask him to gain weight as well? And yeah, he's not interested in that either. So yeah, I'll go through and kind of ask both. First the shape and then the weight. And I'll get back to you and let you know what happens. Okay, so Bojack is the first person to agree to get into better shape. And he's currently considered flabby. So he will, I think, become toned, if I'm not mistaken. However, I'm not entirely sure. And he does weigh 354 pounds. So he's going to be a huge jacked dude if he does get to that point. And we've already asked Brent Backlund, but yeah, I'll go down the list even further. And Lavaniel, actually, who I did request to gain weight earlier, has agreed to get into better shape and become more muscular. And Matt Riddle has said no to both, but what I want to do actually is see if he'll stop using soft drugs. And I think we've asked him before, but he said no, I think. So we'll see if it's any different now. And all workers are limited to being talked out of a specific lifestyle change every 2 years, so he's not going to be eligible for about a year. Okay, so that is all then, and the only people that agreed were Lavaniel and Bojack, both from the Propaganda brand. So yeah, good signs for our kind of developmental side of things, that we've got 2 willing youngsters on the way up. And I'm 1 year older than Lavaniel, so I will consider him a youngster. And now it's actually time to move on to some touring contracts and get some people in ready for the upcoming Mayhem tour. And the first person I want to speak to is Rina Yamashita, no relation to Mayu Yamashita. And she is from Japan, but is based in Tri-State and currently works for GCW, Freedoms and Seedland. So the last 2 I think are in Japan. And yeah, her work in GCW has seen her move to the United States in the Save, interestingly. And she's a professional, so there'll be no issues backstage. She's considered a deathmatch specialist as well, and a deathmatch wrestler. She's a dynamo, so she never holds back, which is great to see. And yeah, I really like the look of her actually, and she's really, really good in the ring as well. So she's got 83 hardcore, 78 brawling, 71 technical. So she's kind of all-rounded in those departments. And she's also got 79 charisma, and she's got really good fundamentals and physicals as well. So yeah, I think this is somebody that's going to be really interesting to see on the Mayhem tour, which, as I say, will be a tour with a bit more of an edge. And we're going to try and have some stipulations. We won't be having death matches, but we will have some kind of weaponry involved at some point, I'm sure, or maybe cages or stuff like that. We'll see how far we can take it with our product. And yeah, the Mayhem tour will be a little bit more brutal than usual. So we will be offering Rena a touring contract, as I say, and let's get that done. Let's make an offer. And she does want travel covered because she's in the tri-state. And actually, because of her declining physical ability, she doesn't want to work certain shows. Now, what is her body looking like? Actually, yeah, she's got orange arms and yellow body all over. So it looks like those death matches are starting to take their toll. But let's actually see what kind of ratings she scores for GCW. And you can see here that she gets around 60. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And I don't mind her not working certain shows. So yeah, I'm quite happy to offer her everything except house shows and go from there. So actually, she wants events and ATV shows only, which will count lesser shows as well. So yeah, we'll go with that. We don't have a TV show, so there's nothing to worry about there. And next up on the list of names that we want to bring in is Oni El Bendito. So this guy is another GCW wrestler and also has moved to the tri-state for that company. He's a good high flyer and brawler. He's got a cool mask. He's got good psychology, good menace and star quality, as you can see there. And he's got all the fundamentals down as well. And he's actually somebody I had on my last local to global. So we're going to be signing him. He's an amazing heel, better as a heel. He's a class clown, so he's a good laugh backstage, and he's also a dynamo once again, as is Rena, so he doesn't hold back during events. And he will fall into the heavyweight division with him being 6'3" and 238 pounds. So let's sign Bendito then and get him in the door, and he will want about 20% merchandise, so let's try and remember that and keep everything else as it is. And he does want travel as well, and he's happy to accept. Okay, so that's good to see. So that will do for signings for now, but we probably will make some more signings between Propaganda and the Mayhem Tour Night 1, and we're definitely going to need to add to the junior heavyweight division with Shun Skywalker and LJ Cleary potentially missing a couple of nights of the tour, and as well as Shun potentially missing the next Strong Style show as well. But for now, what we're going to do is go forward and sign these contracts that we've offered out. Of course, Emi Sakura, Thunder Rosa, Rina Yamashita, and Oni El Bendito, and then we'll get into the show itself. So let's go. Wow, okay, so we have stopped for some decisions, but we do have an email from, well, regarding Ring of Honor. It's not from Ring of Honor, but they have made a contract offer to Ryu Fuda, who we did see on a recent tour, and we loaned him from Dragon Gate, of course, which made him active in the United States. And now Ring of Honor, or AEW, are signing him up. So if you take a look at their offer, they are offering him, and actually, sorry, it's not a developmental deal, but it's actually a handshake deal from Ring of Honor to Ryu. So he will be going there, and that'll be some good work for him stateside, and maybe we can start to see him break out in this side of the world as well. So yes, he can thank me for that, as can Yuki Arai, who we also loaned in before getting signed to WWE. And other than that, we do have 2 contracts to sign, so we're going to be bringing in Rina Yamashita, who will be coming in as a babyface, so we're going to complete that signing. And we're also going to sign Oni El Bendito, and he will of course be coming in as an amazing heel according to his attributes. And now we just await Emi Sakura and Thunder Rosa signing their new deals. So let's skip forward and get to it. And we're back then, and we do have confirmation that Alex Kane, who recently signed an exclusive contract with us, has left Reality of Wrestling, which means that we're now his only employer. But that means we're probably going to have to try and sort out some loans for him at some point in the future. And also we have confirmation that Emi Sakura and Thunder Rosa have signed their deals, so let's complete them. And now let's skip forward 2 days to Strong Style Propaganda. We'll put a little show together, and then hopefully we will have gone up, I think, at least to 59 in the Mid-South and 34 in the Southwest, which gives us one goal throughout the rest of the episode, and that's to get Southwest to 35. So let's see how it goes, and hopefully we can get, well, 2 steps closer after this propaganda show. And actually first, let me go to Alex Kane. He is a little bit annoyed about having to job to Eric Hammer, which is understandable given the 2 men's positions within the company. And he has taken a small popularity hit, but I'm sure we can build that back up pretty soon. But yeah, in terms of that, let's offer him a bonus and let's try and get him happy once again. And I'm quite happy to offer him $10,000 in order to get him back into the green. So let's go with that. And apparently he's still irritated, which we can work on, and we'll focus on him on post-show speeches as well. And maybe he comes back on Propaganda tonight in the main event and bounces back with a solid performance. But we'll see how it goes, but let's get into it then. Okay, so in terms of giving the night off, I think I'm just going to have everybody in the building because I'm not entirely sure of the card tonight, but we will be mostly using the propaganda talent, of course. But for attendance for propaganda tonight, we'll be looking at around 8,378 fans, which is great to see. And I think what we'll do is just return to the Extraco Events Center, where we were quite recently as well, which is in Waco, Texas, and not Waco, which is how I've been pronouncing it, which means we've got some room to try and push towards that 9,000 capacity. So it probably won't be a sellout, but there is a chance, given how recent shows have been performing, and we've actually been getting a higher attendance than predicted. And move on to finalizing broadcasters, and of course we're going to use all of them. And for booking team meeting for the final time with Emi Sakura, let's spend some creative energy. And we're going to grab some creative finishes and try and build them up ahead of the next main strong style show. And this one's a bit of a gamble for Viano, so maybe we use that one at some point. And we're going to grab another one. This one's a near certainty for anyone, which is perfect. The next one's a bit of a gamble for Shun Skywalker. We'll keep it, but might not use it. And we don't have enough for any more, actually. So we'll grab an angle idea. And this one's a safe bet for anyone. So we'll use that at some point, probably on the upcoming main show. And next up then, for locker room incidents, Wayne Joe wants to be used tonight. Apparently he's a party animal, and he's not very good, let's be honest. So if we go to match history and check out his performances, Wayne Joe there with a 6 in his last match. So we will be saying a big fat no to that one. Unfortunately, there isn't a spot for you tonight. And Miranda Elise brightened the mood backstage with some funny cartoon drawings, as you do. Dave Prazak was in fine form before the show, keeping everyone in a great mood with his hilarious road stories, and he created a relaxed and happy atmosphere. And of course, Emmy trained with Brent Backlund, as always, and now we go into addressing the locker room. And we do have an Inspire back, so we will use that in the next Strong Style event. But for now, let's do some meddling and try and improve the relationship between Alex Kane, who, of course, we meddled with last time, and Steve Austin. So you can see there that no relationship has built yet, but we will try and get that going if we can. But with that said, though, I don't think we have anything left to do other than note that only El Bandito and Rina Yamashita aren't here yet because their touring contracts haven't started, and they will start on night 1 of the Mayhem tour. Okay, so the card is booked in then, and we're going to open up with a dark match, which will be a tag team match with Adam Priest teaming with Joseph Finneck Jr. to take on Bojack and Jackson Drake, of course, 4 propaganda talents there. We then open up the show and the broadcast with a commentary breakdown of tonight's card before Aigle Blanc takes on Lavagnol in a technical masterclass. Schaff will then defend his propaganda armband against Stephen Wolf, who will be returning on a one-night deal, and of course is somebody that used to be in the company but we said goodbye to recently. But Hyan did get a small morale boost from us doing this, so that will help the backstage atmosphere, at least for tonight. Alex Kane then takes on the unfortunate Brent Backlund, who will be removing himself from commentary duties for that one before the main event pits Viano Free Jr., with him returning for the first time in 1 month to take on Myung Jae Lee of the Propaganda brand. So yeah, we'll see how tonight's card goes. And actually, I've just gone in and took Brent Backlund off of commentary duties for the main event. And you can probably predict what's going to be happening in that one. But for now then, let's run the card and hopefully we can see a popularity increase at the end of the show. So let's find out. And we go in then and start off with the dark match, getting a 53, so not too bad for propaganda exclusive talent there, as Adam Priest and Joseph Finneck Jr. have defeated Bojack and Jackson Drake when Joseph Finneck Jr. caught Jackson Drake with a quick roll-up, so catching him off guard tonight, and the wise Finneck Jr. there picking up a win to his team. And in terms of performances, Joseph Finneck Jr. was the rightful winner with a 58 performance, and Jackson Drake was the rightful loser as well with a 41 performance, and Adam Priest got a 45 and Bojack was the second best in the match there with a 50 rating. And Adam Priest and Jackson were off their game, but we did see some good work at ringside from AJ Mendez, who is still cornering Joseph Finneck Jr. And yeah, we got some boosts for commentary as well. And yeah, starting off with a good dark match, as I say, with a 53 rating. rating. And then we go into the main show itself then, as the commentary team breaks down tonight's card as CM Punk and Ultramantis Black tease Brent Backlund, who faces Alex Kane tonight. So yeah, again, we're just going to open up with a promo from these good free promo guys, and tonight we've got a 74. And once again, Brent Backlund didn't work well off script. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, and again, we're just going to keep putting him into the fire, and hopefully eventually he can improvise consistently going forward. And Ultramantis worked well improvising, but we got no notes for Punk there. But overall, a 74 rated promo should set us up nicely for tonight. And then we go into the first match of the broadcast then, as we see two Europeans go at it, as Frenchman Aigle Blanc takes on the German Lavagnuel, and Lavagnuel does pick up the win tonight, defeating Aigle Blanc in 15 minutes 47 using some underhanded tactics. And near enough equal performances for both of these, with Aigle Blanc getting a 50 and Lavagnuel with a 51, and overall that gives us a nice 55 rating to start things off. And then we go to a match that's got a similar rating with a 57, as Schaff has defeated Stephen Wolf in 10 minutes 21 by pinfall with a DD 214. And Schaff makes defense number 3 of the Strong Style Propaganda title. And it's actually the first time the belt was defended on Propaganda itself, interestingly, I think, anyway, because we've had the True Hate event and some other scheduled changes that's prevented it from being defended on its actual show. But Schaff there with an in-ring performance of 57, and Stephen Wolf with a 44 gives us another solid match for the main show. But hopefully we can start to up the ratings now as we go into Alex Kane and Viano Free Jr. working a match. So let's find out then as we go. Actually, not too much better, with a 55 here tonight for the former heavyweight champion Alex Kane and Brent Backlund. And maybe it's down to the time, they didn't really have much time to do anything. But Alex Kane defeated Brent Backlund in 10 minutes 23 by pinfall with the mark of Kane. And Alex Kane got a 64, so not his best night by any means, but apparently he looked good out there when standing toe-to-toe with a 21 rated Brent Backlund. But that is Brent Backlund's best rating yet, and he's normally kind of in and around the 15, 16, 17 mark, and tonight he's broken the 20s for the first time ever, which is good to see. And as I say, 55 overall, giving Alex Kane a nice win following his heavyweight championship loss last month. Let's get into the main event then, and can it salvage the rating for tonight and help us increase in popularity in the Mid-South and the Southwest? And there we go, we've got a 79 rated match, which is much better, and that should be enough, hopefully, to give us a good show rating tonight, as Viano Free Jr. has defeated Myung Jae Lee in 15 minutes 53 by pinfall with a Viano driver. A clean win here tonight for the villain, as he looks to bounce back following the loss to Tyler Bate around 2 months ago now. And yeah, he's back on track, at least for now. And the match was designed to steal the show, and it did just that. And the match rating actually matched Viano Free Jr.'s rating of 79, and Myung Jae Lee there with a solid performance of a 52. And yeah, we got a boost from the commentary and crowd as well. But let's find out how we did overall then for the show rating, and we got a 71, which is good to see. And apparently Lavagnuel and Aigle Blanc were slightly overused, which I didn't see a warning for. At least the colour of the bar at the bottom didn't change, so that's maybe something that we'll have to take note of. But we did increase our popularity in 37 regions, but not 38, which I think excludes the Mid-South then. But hopefully we did go up in size in the Southwest. And we've got 4 more shows of the month to try and get the Mid-South up anyway, so that's fine. And we only need to take it up by 1 tick. But for profit though, on the night we made $175,000 and $917 change. And that was once again mostly ticket sales, but with the worker costs being down tonight, we did make slightly more than the ticket sales for profit, with merchandise certainly helping that. But for popularity recap then, here we go. Have we gone up in the Southwest? And have we give us a much easier task for the rest of the episode? And we haven't. Okay. So we're still at 33 in the Southwest, but it is yellow, which means there was a small movement, but just not enough to get it up to that 34. So it's maybe 33.9 at this point. And of course, the show wasn't good enough to get us up in the Mid-South. And maybe hadn't we overused Lavagnuel and Aigle Blanc, we might have got there. But still, again, we only need to go up 1 tick in the Mid-South, and I'm sure we're near enough there. But let's push on then to the Mayhem Tour as we look to get to that next size. Okay, so we can confirm the exit of Emi Sakura, and that means we will be bringing in then Horiguchi. Now, I think it's Genki, it might be Genki, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, we'll go with Genki for now, and I'm sure the comments will let me know. But yeah, he will be coming in with his 76 charisma for manager role, and he's also got 84 booking skill, which will make him the even better replacement for Emi Sakura on the creative team. So let's get Genki in then, and we will be offering him a written contract, and we will of course need to cover his travel from Japan, but he's only going to cost us $40 per appearance, so that kind of makes up for it. And for schedule, we will make sure that he's never involved in in-ring work, and he doesn't want any merchandise, which is great to see. And maybe we can even persuade him to move to the United States at some point. But once he joins, of course, we will add him to the booking team. And speaking of adding people to teams, we now need to set LJ Cleary to be both the men's head trainer and the women's trainer as well. So let's do that, and we're going to add him in there to the women's role, and we'll also add him in to the men's role. So the OG there, now WWE famous, is now training our talent as he continues to become ever more important in the series. And I think that as well gives us a vacancy in the senior road agent position. Now, I think we're going to be looking at either CM Punk, and actually it looks like it's going to be Austin, because if we look at Allison Danger, it says that Steve Austin and CM Punk are considered better. We look at Thunder Rosa, Allison Danger, Punk and Austin are considered better. If we look at Punk, it says Steve Austin is considered better. And then when we look at Steve Austin, it says he's considered the best road agent in the company. So we're going to make him the senior road agent, and he's happy to accept the role. And yeah, I don't think we've really lost much with Emi Sakura, and we've actually gained in the booking team department at least, and hopefully Genki doesn't have any bad chemistry with anybody on the team. And let's get back to some signings ahead of the Mayhem tour, and one person that we're going to be bringing in is a debutant, and again from GCW, and this will be Matt Makowski, or Matt Makowski, I'm not entirely sure. He's an MMA crossover guy. He's got great puro, great technical wrestling, really, really solid fundamentally, and great psychology as well, and really good charisma too. And he would fall into the heavyweight bracket, so I think he might be somebody that's going to accept an open challenge from Eric Hammer. So we will be bringing him in to see how he gets on this tour. And let's just find a deal that he's going to be happy to accept. And once we do, we'll get him in. And there we have it then. He wants 20% of merchandise. Let's go forward with that. And another guy for the heavyweight division, once again, that we're going to be bringing in is Luis Mante. Now, he is a Mexican wrestler, formerly known as Diamante, which means diamond in Spanish, and he actually has made a name for himself in Japan as of late, and as a member of the Dragon Gate roster, and has been there for 9 years at this point in the save. And he's, again, really solid, he's good in the air, so something different for the heavyweight division, and he just about makes the limit with weighing in at 212. And yeah, he's really good basics, really consistent, and he's got decent technical ability and good charisma as well, and some good sex appeal there for the ladies and some of the men, I guess. So let's offer him a contract, and apparently he doesn't want to work with us though, so we will have to make this a talent trade with Dragon Gate. Let's go to talent trades and Dragon Gate and go down to Luis Mante, and we're going to make this a 2 appearance deal so he doesn't overstay his welcome after the tour, and he will become active in the United States once he works for us, so we can kind of maybe bring him back on a touring contract at some point, maybe in between show 2 and 3. But I just need to scroll through now and find somebody that they're going to be happy to take in exchange for him. And actually, Yuma Ayagi is somebody that they're going to be happy to take. And let me just double check actually his schedule and make sure that he's going to be free. And for the most part, it looks like he will be, at least enough for us to test him out in the ring anyway. So let's get Yuma exchanged for Lewis. And actually, I'm going to do a 1 appearance loan instead. And that also means Yuma won't be missing a bunch of shows for Dragon Gate if schedules clash. So let's get that done then. Luis Mante for Yuma Ayagi, and he comes in as a heel, I believe, and actually he's set as a babyface. Unless we turn him on the show itself. He hasn't debuted yet, so there's nothing stopping his change. Okay, I thought it was set because it's a loan, but apparently you can change it ahead of time, so that's fine. We're going to do that then. Yeah, he will be a heel for us, and he will be going into the heavyweight division as well. Okay, so now let's add some names to the junior heavyweight division for now for this upcoming tour. And the first name that I want to speak to is somebody you're probably familiar with, and that is Roosh former Ring of Honor World Champion, of course, and a big star in CMLL as well. And he is currently a free agent. I believe he is quite active. And yeah, he has worked a few matches within the last few months, so he shouldn't be rusty, hopefully anyway. And we will be bringing him in for the tour. And again, solid brawler and technical. And I think his brawling ability will make him fit for this Mayhem tour. And he's got great charisma as well, really good star quality and sex appeal, and really, really good fundamentals as well. And actually, if we look at his last match, which was for MPW, he got a 65, so he's actually pretty good. And another solid name to kind of rotate into matches and kind of test out for a potential option going forward, maybe for a written contract if he impresses. But let's get a contract offer put together then. And he does want higher merch, and there we go, 15% is enough. And yeah, he will be coming in again for this Mayhem tour. And next on the list of names that I want to bring in is Chris Brooks, and he will be joining the junior heavyweight division as well. And again, a really, really good wrestler, good brawling, which is what we're looking for the Mayhem tour, and he's also solid technically as well. So he will be able to put on some technical masterclasses for us, which is of course a requirement of our product. He's got great psychology as well, so if we need a future road agent, he's an option. He is 37, so he's got a lot of experience as well, with 100 experience. He's really solid fundamentally as well. I don't think you can get much better on the game really. And play-by-play is an option as well, with 70 there, and he's got good charisma and good acting as well. In fact, great acting. And he's over in the United States as well. He currently works for DDT and GLEAT in Japan. So he's actually based in Ryushu, Japan. And he's a people person as well. And that'd be great for our backstage atmosphere. And maybe if he becomes a long-term member of the roster, then he's got 42 booking skill as well. So there's an option there. So I think he could be a good hand going forward, especially with his personality type and his kind of other talents. He's creative as well. So he comes up with his own spots. He's a dynamo, so he goes all out. And he's an amazing heel and amazing babyface. So as I say, I think he's such a good option in this game to sign, with so many good attributes, including tag team specialist as well. So he literally has everything, and he's somebody that I have been looking at for a while, but there's never really been room for him. But this time we're going to be bringing him in for the Mayhem tour, and we're going to test him out. So let's see how he does for us, and if he can match the kind of mid 60s that he gets in Japan, and in some cases 70 there as well. So let's get him on the books then, and I'm going to offer him 15% merchandise to start with travel of course from Japan, and he wants a higher cut of merch, so we'll go with 20, and that is enough. So he's coming in as well. And I've been looking for one more signing for the junior heavyweight division at least, although there may be some clashes with his schedule, as he will be busy for night 1 and night 2 if Noah choose to use him, but he will be available for Strong Style and night 3 of the Mayhem tour. So we're actually just going to bring him in anyway and kind of just go with the flow for that one. But we are looking at Tetsuya Endo, somebody that works for All Japan, Pro Wrestling, Noah, and DDT in Japan. And actually that Noah one is on loan, but yeah, he's no stranger to kind of the top promotions in Japan. And he has been with DDT for 17 years and signed with All Japan in the save itself. But if we look at his skills then, 76 Puro, 78 technical, and 81 aerial. He's got good flashiness with 85 as well. Good charisma, star quality, sex appeal, and all that stuff, as well as really good fundamentals with 92 stamina, 88 basics, and 87 safety. And professional as well, so there's no issues there. He's an amazing heel, so that's what he will be doing for us. And he's also creative, so he comes up with his own ideas, and he should do decently well in merchandise as well, with him being easily marketable, and he won't mind losing because he's easy to do business with. One issue that we do have though is that he's got a history of concussions, so there will be a chance that that reoccurs, but hopefully we can try and protect him in that regard. And of course he will be coming in on a touring contract, so it's not like we're locking him down for the long term, so if anything were to happen, he would leave at the end of the tour anyway. But we will be covering his travel expenses, and he does want a cut of merch as well, so we're going to try and go as low as possible, and he's happy with 10%. So that's Tetsuya Endo coming in, the 17-year vet of DDT, a true born of the company, and he's a ripped technical flyer. And yeah, I really like the look of him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does for us. Okay, so moving on to the women's division then, we're actually going to be bringing back Nicole Matthews for this tour. Now, what I want to do is kind of weigh up some options for the upcoming Women's World Cup, and I need some representation for Canada. So that will either be Nicole Matthews, one veteran, or somebody else that we're just going to discuss in just a second. Let's get an offer made to Nicole Matthews first, of course a former women's champion for us. So it will be Nicole Matthews or Natalia who will represent, as I say, Canada in that World Cup. Now, the issue is, when I go to sign Natalia, I get a message from AJ Mendez saying it's a terrible idea. So we might have to try and get around this. And I'm not sure whether this actually makes a difference, but I'm going to try and loan her in instead from DPW. And then we're going to sort of test the two out, maybe in a tag team match, and work out which Canadian will be best for the Women's World Cup, as I say. So we're going to offer Natty 2 appearances for this tour, and we're going to try and find somebody that DPW want in exchange. So I'm just going to find out who I'm going to pick, and I'll let you know in just a second. Okay, so I've decided to go with Kevin Blackwood. There were some other options, such as Shun Skywalker and Jordan Grace. I think they were the only other two, but they're not exclusive contracts, so they're getting work outside of Strong Style anyway, and Kevin Blackwood's the only one out of them that has an exclusive contract. So he will be returning to DPW once again, as he did recently on loan, for 2 more appearances. So that gives him some extra reps inside the squared circle. So let's get that deal done then. Now let's see if there's any morale issues from AJ Mendez, and there isn't. She's actually pleased about the backstage environment from January, which is good to see. And what I want to do as well is try and meddle between the two and see if we can get them on the same page at the next show, hopefully. Although I'm not sure how that goes sort of personality wise and whether there's a clash there, but we will find out anyway. And I want to bring her in for now as a face. So we're going to turn her now. And as for Natty, I'm sure you know all about her, but she's a solid wrestler in the squared circle, great experience. And while she's not kind of the best at this point at 46 years old, I think she's good enough to be that kind of veteran in the Strong Style Women's World Cup. And we're just going to test her out today and see whether her or Nicole Matthews gets on better. And speaking of the Women's World Cup, one option that I was looking at is for Steph DeLander to represent Australia. Now the issue is she's not going to be able to work the shows because she is injured with a torn abdominal muscle, and she won't be returning until Tuesday the 19th of June, which is right bang in the middle of the Women's World Cup tournament. Now what I might do is try and sign her and then see if we can get surgery on her to get her through quicker, if that's an option, or maybe she's able to work through the injury. So what I'm going to actually do is offer her a contract, and it will be until the end of the tour. So we're just going to test to see how things are in terms of her injury and see if there's anything internally that we can do during this tour. And if we don't go with Steph DeLander, who, as with Natty, she's really, really good in terms of fundamentals and performance skills. She's got decent primary skills as well, and is a former champion in some companies. But yeah, as I say, we'll see how it goes. But if it's not Steph DeLander representing Australia, I think we're going to go with somebody that we've seen before, and that is Xena, who wrestled for us, I think, in the roulette. And yeah, she did there. You can see she lost to Jordan Grace, I think, in the first round, unfortunately for her. But she's going to have another go at it in the Women's World Cup if Steph DeLander isn't available, which means we're going to offer her a contract for this tour and see if we can try and build up her popularity ahead of it. So we're going to try and get a deal done then, and she's going to be happy with 15%. And if you remember, we found Xena through the news, and we got a news piece basically that confirmed that she has potential in the game. So if she gets the work, she's definitely going to improve. And yeah, we're going to try and give her that work today and try and keep all of these attributes going up with some regular competition. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And I think that might do for touring talent. I might maybe bring in 2 more names, and the names I'm considering are 2 returns once again. Masha Slamovich, who will be in the Women's World Cup representing Russia. I'm also considering bringing back Miyu Yamashita, although she won't be in the Women's World Cup. She was a good hand for us, and maybe she can come in for the Mayhem tour only. And actually, I'm just going to go with, for now, Masha Slamovich, and again, get her warmed up ahead of the Women's World Cup. So let's do that then and get a deal together. And she's happy to accept 20% of merchandise, and she'll be coming in, as I say, for the Mayhem tour. Okay, so we can confirm many of the contracts that we've just agreed to, and let's go through them individually. And Masha Slamovich will be a heel, of course, and we're going to carry her gimmick over from last time. Xena will, of course, be coming in as a heel, I think, as well. Yeah, she's better as a heel, so we'll go with that. Steph DeLander will be a heel, so let's bring her in. Nicole Matthews will be a face. Let's apply her legitimate gimmick from last time. Tetsuya Endo will be coming in as a heel as well. So he's an amazing heel. So let's do that. Matt Makowski is going to be coming in as a face because we've kind of got a lot of heels coming in. So we're going to do that by default. And Roosh apparently wants to come in as a heel. And he's an amazing heel and better as a heel. And yeah, we may as well go with that. That's fine. We've got some baby faces already in the building in the junior heavyweight division. And Chris Brooks can be a face because he's good at both. So let's go with that. And now we just wait on Genki Horiguchi before we can add him into his new roles. So let's skip forward again and get that done. Right, so we are on the day of the show then. And I did just record the last bit where we added Genki to the booking team and give him a client as well. But apparently it didn't pick it up. And I forgot to unpause it on OBS. So we will go through that in just a second. But we can confirm that all of the touring contracts have now started, with it being the day of the show. And Dean Ambrose's contract is expiring with WWE as well, interestingly. But they have made an offer to keep him. Now, I wonder if there's any counter offers from AEW or anything. And it doesn't look like there is. And I can't even check his negotiation screen because he won't talk to us. But we just assume that he's staying with WWE for now, unless anything else comes in. But as I was saying, I did go in and give some bonuses to 2 talent, I believe. And I think it was Hyan. So she got a $3,000 bonus there, as you can see, and she's now happy because she was annoyed before. And I'm trying to remember who the last one was. It might have been Aubrey Edwards. I think it was, actually. So if we go there, you can see there, we give her a $3,000 bonus. And the recording didn't pick it up, which is great to see. And also, we added Genki to the booking team, which increased our expected creative energy to 301. And one thing I did note is that Genki is now our best booker on the team, and he's got an 84 booking skill compared to Allison Danger, who was the best before, with a 74. And we just got to hope that there's no bad chemistry with the rest of the team. And if we go to roster and Lavaniel, you'll also see that we've added Genki Horiguchi to be his manager for the upcoming Mayhem tour. And yeah, we'll see how that partnership goes. And I'm hoping and praying that there's some great chemistry there. Or some good chemistry will do. But we'll see how it goes anyway. And tonight, though, is the Strong Style Mayhem Tour Night 1. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. And nobody will be getting the night off. I'm going to have all hands on deck tonight. And for venue, I'm quite happy to go outside of Texas tonight. And we will return to Missouri and the Hy-Vee Arena, where we were last month. So let's go there. And for finalizing broadcasters, let's do automatic selection as always. And the booking team meeting then, interestingly, generated 127 creative energy. Now, why didn't we make more than that? Okay, so there's the problem. Oh, no way. Janai Kai has poor booking chemistry with Horiguchi. Rosa has poor booking chemistry with Horiguchi. Danger has awful booking chemistry with Horiguchi. So that didn't go well. And we haven't made much creative energy. So it might be a short stay for Genki then in the promotion, because the main reason I brought him in was for booking and not really managing. But if there's good chemistry with Lavaniel, then we'll keep him around. But if not, we'll just let him go. But yeah, Gary J, though, has turned up and wants to be used tonight. Now, Gary J is somebody that we've been using as an extra. And he was, of course, in the training vignette with Eric Hammer and was in the mosh pit with Brooke Havoc few months ago. He is a professional, and let's take a look at his previous matches. Now, he is currently unemployed, but when he worked for an independent show recently, he got a 26. Now, I'm going to say no for now, but maybe he can return as an extra at some point in the future, but there's just no spot for him tonight. And Joseph Finnick Jr. came to us with a creative finish, so we'll check that out soon. Oni El Bendito helped create a fun atmosphere when he pulled a classic rib on Joseph Finnick Jr. and had everyone laughing. Hopefully Finnick Jr. took it well, and that's all for incidents. And for pre-show then, we're going to just leave tonight's speech, and I don't want to mess with anything. And let's check out our absent workers page then. And LJ Cleary and Shun Skywalker are not available for us, and they are with Noah. And Steph Delander is out because of her injury, and actually we forgot to check whether we can give her surgery. We'll do that after the show if I remember. But yeah, we're going to probably have her in a promo maybe, at some point. Or maybe she can be tested out as a manager for somebody, but she will be available for non-wrestling roles, it says there. So yeah, that's a positive. But anyway, let's go in and book the card, and I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so we've got an interesting card tonight. We've actually got quite a few debuts for the promotion, so let's go through what's going to be happening. And we're going to open up then with the debut of Oni El Bendito and Luis Mante, who will be taking on the team of Brent Backlund and Marshall Von Erich in 2-on-2 action, before we then see the debut of Tetsuya Endo, as well as also in a dark match taking on Jackson Drake. Then we go into the main show itself, where the commentary break down the card for the night, before we go into the first bout of the night, which will see Roosh take on Chris Brooks. Again, 2 debuts, this time in the junior heavyweight division. Eric Hammer will then appear for the first time as heavyweight champion before issuing an open challenge before that match takes place. And this will be under MMA rules as well. And unfortunately, the person that is in the match has a sprained ankle and picked that up 2 days ago. However, they can work through it, but there is a bit of a risk. But it is somebody that's not on our main roster, so we're just going to stick with it and see what happens. And it does say it shouldn't affect their performance greatly. And then we go into a women's tag team match this time, as Nicole Matthews teams up with fellow Canadian Natty Neidhart to take on Xena and Thunder Rosa. And again, we're just going to see who gets a better rating out of Matthews and Neidhart to try and nail down who we're going to bring in to represent Canada in the Women's World Cup next month. And speaking of the Women's World Cup, we have another preview of that, as Mayu Iwatani, who will be representing Japan in the Women's World Cup, takes on Russia's Masha Slamovich, who will also be representing her country in that tournament. So it's going to be an interesting one, and this will be the second time that we've seen Mayu Iwatani take on Masha Slamovich. And if you remember, Masha Slamovich was defeated by Iwatani in that roulette before Masha then attacked her after the match. And there hasn't been a singles match since then between the two, so we're going to run that tonight. So it should be an interesting one then, and yeah, that injury that I mentioned before in the open challenge is why this is yellow, but we should be good to go other than that. So let's get into it then, as we open up with a 59 dark match, so pretty good, as Oni El Bendito and Luis Mante have defeated Brent Backlund and Marshall Von Erich in 9 minutes 44 when Bendito pinned Backlund. So a win here for the two debuting heavyweights, as they've defeated our graduate, who actually got a 25 in this match, which I believe is his best rated so far. And then Marshall Von Erich got a 63 level with Oni El Bendito, and then Luis Mante got a 57, so he was the third best in the match. And the Oni gimmick from Oni El Bendito got a great, and yeah, as I say, 59 overall, sets things up nicely as we head closer to the broadcast. And then we go to a 58 rated segment, as Tetsuya Endo has defeated Jackson Drake in 10 minutes. And this was after he pinned him with the Tetsuya in the sky with diamonds. And Endo there with a 60 compared to Drake's 45. And the jet black whirlwind gimmick on adequate. So there's work to do there, but Endo did benefit from a hot new move, which is good to see. And overall, we've got a solid match there with Endo defeating Jackson Drake. And then we go into the first segment of the broadcast then, as Brent Backlund, CM Punk and Ultramantis Black have broken down the card for tonight's show. And we had some reds there for Ultramantis Black. Nothing bad for Brent Backlund though, but we did get some greens from CM Punk. And yeah, a nice 72 rated segment there to kick things off and try and get our average up for the show. As we go into the opening contest, which has got a 76 between two debutants, as Roosh has defeated Chris Brooks in 14 minutes 52 in tonight's technical masterclass, using a handful of tights, protecting Brooks going forward, but allowing Roosh to pick up an all-important win following his first time in a Strong Style America's ring. And Roosh there actually got a 65 compared to Chris Brooks' 71, so he was the man of the match there despite the loss. And Roosh's El Toro Blanco gimmick got a very good, and Chris Brooks's Calamari Catch King gimmick. Got a great. So 2 good performances and 2 good gimmick ratings, and we also have some great chemistry between the two as well, which is definitely interesting and something that we could refer back to in the future. But in any case, a 76 rated match in the first action of the broadcast before we go into a promo from Eric Hammer, who was rated on intimidation here rather than promo skills. But Eric Hammer makes his way to the ring following a shock upset win over Alex Kane, ending the champion's 448-day reign as Strong Style Heavyweight Champion. And Hammer declares that his passion for a fight will never end, and that from now on and for eternity, he will be a fighting champion. He says it's the perfect time for the Mayhem tour, and for every night of the tour, he will defend his title against any heavyweight that wants to step up to him from inside or outside of Strong Style Americas. And actually, I just want to mention as well, all of these matches will be happening under MMA rules, which fits the Mayhem theme. And then we see Matt Makowski, and actually I think it's Makovsky, so we're going to go with that moving forward. But yeah, this is when Matt Makovsky makes his presence known, wearing his black belt in Jiu-Jitsu to accept the challenge. So the perfect opponent tonight for Eric Hammer in his first defense of his title, as Weapon X has turned up to Strong Style to try and dethrone the new champion. And this segment does include a face turn for Eric Hammer. Now, I did change my mind recently about turning him face, but I just feel if he's issuing open challenges every night, it's probably better to happen as a babyface. So we will be doing that tonight, and the turn was apparently a complete success. So now we have a babyface heavyweight champion issuing open challenges for the foreseeable future until, of course, he is defeated, which will trigger his retirement. And then we go into the match itself, and the rating wasn't too bad, as we picked up a 61 despite Makovsky working through an injury. And yeah, we got a 61 overall, as Eric Hammer has, of course, defeated Matt Makovsky in 9 minutes 24 by submission, and he did take advantage of the injury by using a leg submission as well, so just pointing that out. And Eric Hammer makes defense number 1 of his Strong Style Heavyweight title and defeats Matt Makovsky, who wasn't happy about taking the loss tonight, so we might have to issue him a small bonus to try and keep him happy, just in case we want to bring him back after this tour. But yeah, Eric Hammer had an in-ring performance of 57, and Matt Makovsky got a 59, and overall, a solid first title defense for Eric Hammer. And then we go into the women's tag team match, which has got the exact same rating, as Nicole Matthews and Natty Neidhart have defeated Xena and Thunder Rosa in 15 minutes 22, when Neidhart submitted Rosa with a sharpshooter. And I just want to also mention that this is the Natty Neidhart that we've been recently seeing on the independent scene, where she's got a little bit more grit about her and is presented much more of a fighter than in WWE. So yeah, just want to point that out. And yeah, Natty Neidhart appears to be the one that's going to be representing Canada in the Women's World Cup, as she scored a 59 and is the best performer of the match. Slightly ahead of Thunder Rosa, who got a 54, and her fellow Canadian got a 50 there. Did Matthews, and Xena also got the same. 61 rating isn't too bad, and we found our Canadian representation, as I say, for the Women's World Cup. But let's move forward then into the main event, which will see Mayu Iwatani take on Masha Slamovich. And in 16 minutes 56, the tables match has ended when Masha Slamovich was put through a table with a driving double foot stomp, meaning Mayu Iwatani has finally got her revenge on Masha Slamovich and heads towards the Women's World Cup with a huge victory. And this is a great way for her to bounce back from the last main Strong Style show, where she lost to Jordan Grace, of course, in a match for the Strong Style Women's Championship. And the Icon has picked up some momentum heading into the Grand Tournament next month. And Iwatani there, great as always, getting an 81 with Slamovich getting a 57, so one of the best female performances of the night. Not quite Iwatani levels, but still decent enough. And Masha did benefit from a hot new move as well, with all these greens helping the match get a 75 overall, which is a solid main event, and should put us in the mid-70s in terms of show rating. So let's find out then. And yeah, we got a 73 overall, which wasn't actually enough to increase our popularity in the Mid-South, but what I'm hoping, as I mentioned after the first show, hopefully it's enough to give us one jump up in the Southwest. That's going to be the all-important thing to check. But for now, we have made a steady $162,000 profit, but we're here for the popularity, as that's what this episode is all about. And can we please go up in the Southwest? And we still haven't. We're still at 33, but we have gone up across the UK and Ireland to 12, and the Maritimes and Quebec have also done the same, so we're 12 across British Isles and Canada. But still, we need to start pulling off some better ratings if we're going to try and get to the next size this month. So let's push on and go to night 2, which will happen tomorrow night. So let's get there. Okay, so there was nothing in between shows, so we've gone straight into it then, and we're not going to be giving anybody the night off once again. And for venue, we did sell out the Hy-Vee Arena last night with 8,500 people in the building. We did outperform our expectations, and I think we're going to go across to one of the other states though. I'm not sure whether we should come back to Texas. Actually, let's up it to 9,000 and 10,000 to see if there's anywhere else that we can appear and maybe push for a 9,000 attendance. Yeah, we're going to actually go to Texas once again and go to the Extraco Events Center, which of course is a place that we've hosted events a few times before. So let's select this venue then and try and sell out the 9,000 capacity venue. Of course, we're going to use all of the broadcasters, which should increase our ability to hopefully get to the next size this month. And we're also going to spend some creative energy. So we're going to grab a bunch of creative finishes. This one's a bit of a gamble, but we'll keep it for now. We've also got one that's a bit of a gamble for Malachi Black, which we'll keep but might not use, to be honest. Then we've got a bit of a gamble for Mayu Iwatani, and we've also got a safe bet for Jordan Grace. So I'm sure our women's champion will pick up a win at some point, which will allow us to use that. And as for locker room incidents, there isn't actually anything, which is a surprise, but we go into the address the locker room screen then, and actually I want to do some meddling again. And can we try and solve the heat between Natty Neidhart and AJ Mendez? Let's try and do that. So let's go to Natty Neidhart then and do positive medal, but the effects may take some time, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But let's check our absent workers then, and once again LJ Cleary is not here tonight, neither is Shun Skywalker, and of course Steph Delander is here, but is out injured and is not able to wrestle. And I did check before, and we're not actually able to fix her with surgery, but I do have another idea of what we're going to do. We're going to put Steph Delander with Roosh, and we'll see how that goes. I don't know whether he'll be wrestling tonight, actually, since he worked night 1, but we'll see. So let's go through the card then, and we're going to open up with 2 dark matches. First up between Roosh and Brent Backlund, as Roosh comes off his win last night, with him sharing the ring with the up-and-comer. We then see Janai Kai take on Mercedes Martinez, who's here on a one-night deal in singles action, which will be the last dark match of the night, before we go into the now regular commentary breakdown of the action and the matches that will take place on the broadcast. Then Eric Hammer will take on Oni El Bendito in MMA rules for the heavyweight championship, before Natty Neidhart and Nicole Matthews, this time instead of teaming, go one-on-one, as one of them looks to establish themselves as the Queen of Canada, I guess, to secure their position in the Women's World Cup. And then Rina Yamashita will make her debut in the promotion, the deathmatch specialist, of course, as she takes on former Strong Style Women's Champion Miranda Elise, who hasn't been the same since the demise of the Veil. And that will happen under hardcore rules as we continue the Mayhem tour. And then the main event will interestingly see the on-screen debut of Tetsuya Endo, who takes on Chris Brooks, who has demanded a match tonight after losing unfairly to Roosh last night, after he had a handful of tights. And that will be the card for tonight, and it's mostly just wrestling in the 75 minutes that's taken up, and we've got some long matches other than the commentary breakdown, which will be 5 minutes. So let's get into it then and see how it shapes up. And there's a lot of pressure on those 2 debutants for this tour, at least, Chris Brooks and Tetsuya Endo, as they main event a show that we need to impress with. So I have applied a creative idea to that one. So hopefully it can pay off. So let's get into it then, and hopefully we can improve in popularity in the Mid-South. So let's run it. And we open up then with a 52 rated dark match. And this one is a technical masterclass, and Roosh has of course defeated Brent Backlund in 15 minutes 11 by pinfall with a Roosh driver. And Roosh here had an in-ring performance of 64, so good stuff from him. And Brent Backlund was slightly lower tonight with a 19, but it was a technical masterclass, and that's not really his wheelhouse, but we needed one on the card, so we went with this one. And Roosh took most of the offense, apparently, completely eating up Brent Backlund, and apparently they have great chemistry. So the second time in a row, Roosh has had good chemistry with one of our wrestlers, which is great to see. And I think this might have done even better if this wasn't the technical masterclass, because Brent would have scored better, and maybe we would have been up towards the 60s with this one. But this is definitely a match that I want to revisit, and I think Roosh is making a good case for himself as to becoming a permanent roster member, given his consistent chemistry not only with Brent Backlund but with Chris Brooks. So yeah, I'm actually considering offering him a full-time deal, but we'll see how it plays out. And apparently Roosh selfishly used his superior skills to take most of the offense, making Brent Backlund look weak. The match suffered as a result. So that note there is actually a bad thing, and it looks like Roosh may have been unprofessional. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if that's the case, but apparently it made Brent look bad nonetheless. And yeah, I've just said we're going to sign him, but we might have to monitor that one, and yeah, we'll make a decision at some point in the future. And in this one we're testing something else. Genki Horiguchi this time has joined Janai Kai as a manager. They're an awkward pairing, so we're not going to see this one again, but Janai did defeat Mercedes Martinez in 9 minutes 51 by pinfall, and Genki has debuted his weirdo gimmick and got an initial rating of great. Mercedes Martinez got a 49 and Janai Kai got a 54, and apparently Genki did do some good work at ringside, but as I say, there's a lack of chemistry there, and Janai seemed off her game. But it's just a dark match, but we got a 59, which is okay. But we go into the main broadcast then, where the commentary team highlight the upcoming action on tonight's show, announcing that we will open up with the Strong Style Heavyweight Championship match, where Eric Hammer has once again issued an open challenge to the wrestling world, of course under MMA rules. And we already know the opponent, and it has been announced for tonight, and it is Oni El Bendito that has accepted the challenge. And he is somebody without MMA experience as far as I can tell, but he is somebody that's going to be difficult to keep grounded, and is somebody that isn't afraid to kind of bend the rules. So it's going to be a difficult challenge for Eric Hammer to get a hold of Oni and try and secure that win. And yeah, we're going to see how it plays out tonight, but CM Punk looked good and improvised well, and Trementis Black apparently performed poorly in this segment, but Brent Backlund worked the crowd well, so did Black apparently, despite, well, performing poorly. But we'll see how the rest of the night plays out then, as we kick the broadcast off with a 75 rated segment. And next up we go into the Heavyweight Championship match itself and score a 68. So not too bad for an opening match, as Eric Hammer has of course defeated Oni El Bendito in 8 minutes 44, so quite a quick one, when Eric Hammer beat Oni El Bendito so badly that the referee had to stop the match. And there was an injury in this one, or a kayfabe injury at least, that has made the referee call a stop to it, and the Giant has defeated the Luchador tonight. And Eric Hammer makes defense number 2 of his Strong Style Heavyweight title and got an in-ring performance of 59, so not too bad. But Bendito did outperform him slightly with a 64, and yeah, a good rating for both performances there with a 68 overall. And now we continue on to the women's match between Natty Neidhart and Nicole Matthews, as Natty has defeated Nicole Matthews, the second of 3 former women's champions to appear on the card tonight, and she tapped out in 17 minutes 49 after a sharp shooter. And Natty there once again proving why she will be representing Canada in the Women's World Cup, getting a 60 in-ring performance, with Nicole Matthews getting 40 there. And overall though, a 59 rated match is pretty solid, as Natty picks up some steam heading into, as I say, the Women's World Cup. And next up then we go to the second women's match of the night, as this time Rina Yamashita, under hardcore rules, has actually defeated, in a big win and big debut, Miranda Elise in 14 minutes 31 by pinfall with a splash mountain. And she debuted her deathmatch Amazon gimmick and got a great, which is good to see. And Rina there actually only got a 56. I was actually expecting a little bit more, with Miranda getting getting a 64. And apparently Elise was off her game as well. So we might have seen a better performance from her had she picked up the win. But as I say, Miranda hasn't been the same since the downfall of the Veil. But fans of Elise, don't worry, because there is a plan in place should all things fall into place for a long-term storyline for her that will start to play out, I think, on the next show. But we do have a few things to test out first. So yeah, I'll leave it at that, but you'll see what I mean as things play out going forward. But a 67 rated match is a good way to take us into tonight's main event, which hopefully can get us a high 70 or 80s at a push, with two good performers in tonight's main event. And yeah, let's see how it plays out then, as we do get a 77. Now that might not be enough to get us up in the Mid-South, unfortunately, but I think it should be enough to get us up in the Southwest, but I don't know how many times we've said that in this episode. But Chris Brooks, however, has defeated Tetsuya Endo in 16 minutes 32 by pinfall with a praying mantis bomb. And during the match, we did actually see a distraction from Roosh, who tried to distract the man that he defeated last night, that being Chris Brooks, but to no avail. And Chris Brooks there with the best performance in the match with a 66, and Tetsuya Endo actually getting a 70, so not too bad from him. And the creative finish that we used was a success, which helped the rating get up to a 77 there. And Endo's hot new move helped as well, and so did the commentary. But a decent way to end the show, but I'm not expecting any popularity growth in the Mid-South, so we really have to push on in the last two shows of the month to try and get up to that 59, but hopefully we've done enough today to go up in the Southwest. So let's find out then. And apparently though, Tetsuya Endo was used too much. Now I didn't get a warning about that at the start of the show, so that's a little bit annoying, but we did increase our popularity in 37 regions. But yeah, at the start of the show, the bar was green, so that's a little bit weird. But anyway, let's continue on to the financial report, as we've made a steady profit of $159,926, so pretty much $960 on the night. So the money continues to pour in as we edge closer to that 2 million mark now. And as for popularity, please can we just go up in the Southwest? And we have, thank God. Okay, so we're now at 34 in the Southwest and actually 16 as well in the tri-state. So we're now literally one notch away from getting to the next size. And the tour shows have kind of held off having some of our bigger stars on them this time around. So we've seen no Kevin Blackwood, no Killer Kelly, no Jordan Grace. Even Viana Free Jr. is on hold right now, and so is Alex Kane even. But as we build towards the conclusion of the tour, we will start to see them appear, and there will be challenges found for the championships in the case of Jordan Grace and Kevin Blackwood. And we didn't have any major stars on the last show, so that hurt the attendance a little bit, but nothing too bad because we did make a decent profit nonetheless. And we had 8,300 people in the building, and yeah, it was slightly less than the night before, but nothing too major. And Luis Mante is now gone from Strong Style following the end of his loan period, and actually I think that happened yesterday. And Natty Neidhart is also gone, and she will be returning for the Strong Style Women's World Cup Tour, and I think we're going to leave her off the card though for the remainder of this one. And I don't think there's too much to do before the next show, although I do want to take Genki Horiguchi off from managing Janai Kai, so we'll save that. And actually, another thing that we need to do is remove Genki from the creative team for now, because obviously, as we've seen earlier, he has poor booking chemistry with basically everyone on the team. So unfortunately, we're going to have to remove him, and I don't think he's going to be happy about it, but that's unfortunate for him. And actually, let me quickly check his morale. And apparently he's still happy, so that's fine, even though he's slightly irritated by it. And now all that's left to do with him is to try him out with Lavaniel. And if that doesn't work, then I think we're just going to let Horiguchi go, as we only really brought him in as a booker with that 84 booking skill, and then he was kind of a manager as a second job, essentially. So yeah, we're going to try Lavaniel with him though, and if it doesn't click and there's no chemistry at all, or there's bad chemistry, then we will, unfortunately, see the end of him. But anyway, let's move forward to the day of the show and see if anything else happens. So we are on the day of night 3 then, and we have a few emails. So Matt Makovsky is now fully fit and recovered from the injury that he was working through recently. And we can also confirm that John Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, has re-signed with WWE and will be with them for the next 547 days. And it's also worth pointing out as well that he is now the current undisputed WWE champion. Now, he won that title in February 2029. So the current WWE champion at the time's contract was running out, but he has decided, of course, to stay with them, which is huge for them, with him being their top guy right now. But in any case, we're not here for WWE, we're here for Strong Style Americas, so let's go forward to the show. And once again tonight, everybody will be in the building, and apart from those that will be other shows, of course, and we'll have to check who's here tonight. And for venues then, let's go once again to... Actually, let's just adjust the filter slightly. And we're actually going to go to the Skullmeyer Arena tonight, which is the home of the TCU, which is the Texas Christian University Horned Frogs athletics team. And the building is in Fort Worth, Texas, and it very much looks like your typical basketball arena. And interestingly, the layout of the building is circular, which is not something you always see. But I can't actually find anything about a history of wrestling in the building, so yeah, I don't know if wrestling has happened, but it will tonight. So let's select this venue and go with that then. And this one is an 8,500 capacity building, and hopefully we can fill it out with a show that exceeds expectations. So let's go with that then. And of course, we're going to use all the broadcasters again until they expire, and then we're going to take a look at our options going forward. And next up for booking team meeting, we are down a booking team member, but we will have more than we did on the last show since Genki isn't on the team and he isn't bringing everybody else's creative energy down. But let's spend some creative energy nonetheless and bring in a creative finish, which is a safe bet for Miranda Alize, which may come in handy going forward with her new storyline coming up. We've got one that's a bit of a gamble, not great, but we'll keep it. And we've got one that's a near certainty for Killer Kelly, which is good. And also we've got one that's a near certainty for anyone. So we probably will save those for the upcoming Strong Style 58 show or 57. We have the legend himself, Josh Cody, turning up and requesting to be allowed to hang around backstage. And this is how his relationship started with us. And I think this is the second time now since his departure that he's turned up to hang around. And of course, we're going to let the former junior heavyweight champion in the building. So come in, my boy. And next up, you were approached by Roosh, and he's asked for a pay rise, apparently. And if we don't accept, he will quit on the spot. So he is only here on a touring contract, so I'm more than happy to accept his proposal there. And LJ Cleary has been training with Brent Backlund, Marshall Von Erich and Rina Yamashita have been bonding recently. Aubrey Edwards brightened the mood by drawing some cartoons, apparently, and that's all for incidents. And we do have, of course, a pre-show speech to do. So what we're going to do is do some more meddling, and this time I want to go back to the Alex Kane, Steve Austin relationship and see if we can try and get that going. And yeah, we'll see if that ever develops. It might not, we'll see. Let's check absent workers then. And Steph DeLander is the only person that's out from wrestling tonight, but she can appear in non-wrestling roles. And of course, if you remember, we put her with Roosh. So if Roosh works tonight, she will be by his side. So let's see if Roosh does make the card, and let's find out what other matches will be taking place. And we're going to open up this time with 3 dark matches. The first is a technical masterclass between Yuma Ayagi and Lavaniel as we look to finally test out Genki Horiguchi as the manager of Lavaniel. And if there's no chemistry, Horiguchi's time in the promotion will be unfortunately done. And then we go into another dark match as Marshall Von Erich takes on Brent Backlund before Miranda Alize takes on Xena again in a dark match. And for that, we're actually testing out a new manager for Alize and Von Erich. And interestingly, they will be in each other's corner for the night. And we're going to see if there's any bad chemistry there before we advance a future storyline. And then we go into the show itself, which starts out, as always, with a commentary breakdown of the night before we go into a segment named Challenge Accepted, which will reveal the opponent for Eric Hammer and his MMA rules match for the Strong Style heavyweight title. Then we go to tag team action, and we're bringing out the big guns tonight in order to secure ourselves a good rating, as Shun Skywalker teams with Viano Free Jr. to take on Tetsuya Endo and LJ Cleary in a junior heavyweight tag team match. And then we go to a 4-way match, this time in the women's division, with 2 big guns there returning in order to name the #1 contender for tomorrow night's Strong Style 57 show. And it will be 1 fall, and whoever picks up the fall will go through as the winner. And then we're actually taking a risk with our main event tonight, as Roosh will once again take on Chris Brooks in singles action. However, as part of the Mayhem tour, this will be a last man standing match, and not only that, but the winner will be named the #1 contender for the Junior Heavyweight Championship tomorrow night against the returning Kevin Blackwood. So hopefully their chemistry can pull us through, and the match stipulation can help give it even more of a boost. And there's also a creative finish on that one. So tonight may secure both men's positions as future main eventers for the company if they can carry us to a good rating tonight. So it should be interesting. But let's get into the show then and see if we can finally increase in the Mid-South, at least, if not the Southwest for the second time this episode. And we start off then with a 63 rated match between Yuma Ayagi and Levaniel, and we have some chemistry as well. So Levaniel and Genki Horiguchi are a good pairing and they play off well with each other. So it looks like Genki may be staying around if he can give some boosts to Levaniel's performances. Now I've just had a quick look, and this is one of Levaniel's best performances in terms of rating, and his best is actually a 55, and he's currently averaging 52.6 for the last 5 matches. So yeah, this is actually right up there for him, and yeah, I think we might keep around Genki Horiguchi at least for now, as we've finally found some good managerial chemistry in the series. And Yuma Ayagi got a 64 as he picks up the win tonight over Levaniel in 14 minutes 53. And yeah, we just need to check the box of a technical masterclass, test out Levaniel, and we've given Yuma Ayagi a win here. And next up we go to a 42 rated match. And apparently both men have good chemistry, so Marshall and Brent there, but there was some confusion, and I forgot about that, because of the face-heel divide between Miranda Alize and Marshall Von Erich, but there was no mention of chemistry between the two. Now the only thing is this warning here blocking potential chemistry? I'm not entirely sure, so we might have to do another test in the future once maybe they are on the same alignments, but we will see. But nonetheless, and moving on, Marshall Von Erich does defeat Brent Backlund in 5 minutes 11 with a moonsault, picking up the win tonight, with the two having some pretty good chemistry, as I say, and a 42 there for that one. And then we go to a 62, and once again we've seen the same warning as we saw before, and yeah, I'm not sure if that's blocking any potential chemistry, but in any case, Miranda Alize does defeat Xena in 6 minutes 14 by pinfall with a drive-by, picking up an all-important win for her career. And Alize gets a 63 and Xena there with a 50. And as I say, maybe if we put Alize and Von Erich on the same heel-face divide, we would see either good or bad chemistry. And as I say, I don't know if this is blocking that for now, or if it's just a case where there's no good or bad chemistry. I'm not entirely sure, but do let me know if you do know. But let's move on then as we go to the commentary breakdown, which didn't go so well, with a 64 rated segment here. And the commentators break down tonight's card and reveal that we're going to the backstage area now to find out who will open the show to take on Eric Hammer for the Strong Style Heavyweight Championship under MMA rules. And yeah, CM Punk and Brent Backlund both getting greens here, with Ultramantis Black struggling to go off script, resulting in a 64. So yeah, not our best commentary breakdown segment by any means, but in any case we do go backstage, where Ryan Davidson cuts a backstage promo to reveal that he's stepping up to the MMA rules Strong Style Heavyweight Challenge. He says that he's beat Eric Hammer before under First Blood rules, and tonight he'll make him bleed again in his own playground before walking away as once again Strong Style Heavyweight Champion. And we got a 53 for this one, so not too bad, but the match itself has seen Eric Hammer defeat Ryan Davidson in 10 minutes 24, when Ryan Davidson couldn't beat a 10 count. So it is MMA rules, but we've also added in, of course, the count out rule if you fall out of the ring, because this is MMA rules, but it's not inside a cage. And Ryan Davidson fell out of the ring and he wasn't able to get up. And Eric Hammer makes defense number 3 of the Strong Style Heavyweight title. And actually the performances are pretty similar, with Eric Hammer getting a 60 and Ryan Davidson there getting a 61, and overall a 65. And this is actually now officially Eric Hammer's best ever performance as well in the ring for us, with his boost in popularity seemingly helping his performances. And then we go to the junior heavyweight tag team match as Shun Skywalker and Villano Free Jr. have defeated Tetsuya Endo and LJ Cleary in 14 minutes 27 when Skywalker pinned Endo with a Skywalker moonsault. And unfortunately, Endo was the weak link with only a 58, which isn't too bad, with LJ Cleary just ahead of him with a 67, Villano Free Jr. there with a 81, and Shun Skywalker killing it with an 84. And yeah, we're just bringing in the big guns, as I said earlier, to try and get up the ratings, and we've got a 78 here with the two masked men defeating Endo and Cleary and getting a 78 in the process. So a good match there as we continue on to the second 70 plus rated match for the night, and the new number one contender has been confirmed to be Masha Slamovich, who now moves on, interestingly, to take on Jordynne Grace for the Women's Championship. And Slamovich did pin Mayu Iwatani with a fast roll-up to secure the win there. So whilst Mayu took the fall, she was kind of caught off guard there following actually Iwatani's singles win over Slamovich in a tables match earlier on in the tour. But in any case, it is Masha that moves on to take on the Juggernaut tomorrow night. And actually two women that have been somewhat allies since Slamovich made her strong style debut, but now they go one-on-one, and it should be an interesting match. But as for performances, Slamovich was unfortunately the worst performer of the match with a 57, Janai Kai got a 59, Killer Kelly got a 71, and Mayu Iwatani got a 77. So a slight underperformance there from Iwatani, but the Who Can Stop the Juggernaut storyline has advanced and lost heat, unfortunately. But a 76 rating is good for what we need tonight. And now we just need the main event to deliver. So let's find out how that gets on. And we get a 72. So it wasn't the best match of the night, but it wasn't too bad either. So hopefully the mid-card has done enough to get us up in popularity in the Mid-South, and I'm starting to think that we might not have done it. But maybe we've increased in the Southwest, but we will see. Nonetheless, as for the result of the Roosh Chris Brooks match, Roosh has defeated Chris Brooks in a last man standing match in 14 minutes 51 per the Mayhem tour, when Chris Brooks could not beat the 10 count following a Lalanza after interference, interestingly, from Shun Skywalker. So why was Shun Skywalker involved tonight? What is his beef with potentially Chris Brooks, or is Roosh a potential ally of his? We will find out as things play out, but the creative finish was a success, and both men got a 60 there for in-ring performance, and the great chemistry of course helped us get up to a 72. Now please, can we increase in enough regions that includes the Mid-South? Let's find out, and we only got 37 once again. Okay, yeah, it was all down to the match order tonight. I think that, well, in hindsight, that tag team match should have main evented and we maybe would have been towards the mid-70s tonight. But we really are starting to drag out this popularity growth in the Mid-South, and once again, we haven't hit the mark. But we have made a profit of $159,000, taking us ever closer to that 2 milli mark with 1.85 million in the bank now. But have we gone up in the Southwest again? And we haven't. And the show wasn't even good enough to increase our popularity in the Mid-South. And it's all down to match order there, and that's on me. But we have increased in Canada in some regions, with us going to 13 in Ontario, Saskatchewan and Manitoba. But we really need to deliver now with this Strong Style 57 show. And I think there's been a decent build to it, but unfortunately it hasn't been good enough in terms of segment ratings. Although we will have all titles on the line tomorrow night, and we're going to see the return of Kevin Blackwood. Jordynne Grace is going to be on the card, as well as is Mayu Iwatani on a different match. So the heavy hitters will be out in full force, and hopefully we can get the match order correct and increase tomorrow night, at least in the Mid-South, if not both the Southwest and Mid-South. So let's move forward then and get to the show without any further ado, and let's see if we can pull it off. And nobody will be getting the night off tonight, and it's all hands on deck once again. We are expecting 13,283 fans in the building, so let's check out where we can hold the event tonight, and we're going to go between 13 and 14,000. Now, we were at the Dickies Arena recently, I think, which is in Fort Worth, and I think we're just going to hold it there once again. And this was the venue that we ran recently that also held the 2021 Money in the Bank event, so I'm not going to go through the whole history of the venue like I normally would for new ones, but In any case, it is 14,000 capacity, so we've got room to shoot above that 13,283 attendance that is expected. So let's go forward though and finalize broadcasters, and some broadcasters that will soon need to be renewed once they expire. And let's also spend as much creative energy as we can with some creative finishes. And we've got one that's a bit of a gamble for Ryan Davidson. We've got one that's a near certainty for anybody, which will probably be on our main event tonight. And we've got another one that's a bit of a gamble for anybody. And we're not really massively shaped up well for creative finishes. Now we do have some that are specific to workers, but even the Mayu Iwatani one, for example, is a bit of a gamble. We've got one that's a near certainty for Killer Kelly, which we might use tonight actually. And we've got one likely to succeed for the junior heavyweight champion Kevin Blackwood, if he manages to defeat Rush, of course. And we've got one that's a safe bet for Jordan Grace as well, were she to defeat Masha Slamovich. And then we've got a near certainty there for anyone, and a few that are a bit of a gamble. So we should have enough, I think, to get us through the night at least, but it's not optimal, I would say that. And you happen to notice that Alison Danger was a little bit more forceful than usual during the meeting, apparently, which is odd to see. I'm not really sure how to react to that, to be honest, though. But Larry D has turned up and asked if you might be able to use him tonight, and unfortunately there's no spot on the card. And LJ Cleary's been training with Brent Backlund. Thunder Rosa has been passing on tips of psychology to Janai Kai, which is huge. Bojack and Chris Brooks have apparently butted heads backstage and are furious with each other, so maybe we need to do a medal at some point between them two if Chris Brooks does return. Chris Brooks was in fine form before the show, keeping everyone in a great mood with road stories apparently. Dave Prazak helped create a fun atmosphere with a classic rib on Eagle Blanc, and that is all for incidents. But we do have an Inspire tonight that we're going to use, and I think it refreshes every 3 months, so we should have another one just in time for Strong Style 60. So we'll see how it goes, but let's inspire the locker room tonight and try and get everybody well up for crossing the line of at least 58 popularity in the Mid-South. Hopefully we can do the double and get the Southwest up as well, so we don't have to run into next month and add to how long this episode will take to come out. So let's get to it though and book the card. That will be missing Shun Skywalker, and of course Steph Delander is out injured, and I don't think we're actually going to ever use her now, as there was no chemistry with her and Rush either, or at least we won't use her on this tour. Right, so here we are then, and the card is booked, and it's pretty much all wrestling apart from the commentary card breakdown. But before we get to that, we will have 2 dark matches, which will see Alex Kane take on Brent Backlund, and we have a women's tag team match as well that sees Hyan and Nicole Matthews team up to take on Janai Kai and Miranda Elise. We then go to that commentary card breakdown before we go into the first broadcasted match of the night, which will see Yuma Ayagi take on Tetsuya Endo. So actually 2 stars that are both in All Japan Pro Wrestling going at it tonight. Then we see Eric Hammer take on Marshall Von Erich, and this will be that MMA Rules Open Challenge for the Strong Style Heavyweight Championship, before we see 2 former women's tag team champions together go against each other tonight as Killer Kelly takes on Thunder Rosa. Malachi Black then appears for the second time in the ring to take on Matt Riddle of the heavyweight division, so a heavyweight clash there, and that will be Malachi's first appearance in the heavyweight division, having defeated Gran Dorado last time around, of course, in a junior heavyweight match, and now that the weight limit has moved, he is able to move up to the heavyweight division, as I say. Chris Brooks then takes on Viano Free Jr. after interference from Shun Skywalker cost Brooks a win last night, and Viano has taken the place of Skywalker essentially tonight, with Shun being away at Dragon Gate, and it was supposed to be Chris Brooks versus Shun there. But in any case, that kind of works because Viano and Shun have teamed together recently. We then go to Mayu Iwatani taking on Rina Yamashita. This will happen under hardcore rules as the Deathmatch Amazon takes on the Icon, and Iwatani has a big challenge on her hands tonight in a brutal setting. And then we go to a singles match between Kevin Blackwood and Rush, of course, with the Junior Heavyweight Championship on the line before our main event, and it was a tough call between the two, but we've gone with Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich for the Strong Style Women's Championship, and that will be under First Blood rules. So let's get into it then and find out if we can finally go to the next size. And we open up then with a dark match with Alex Kane defeating Brent Backlund in quick fashion in 5 minutes 25 with the mark of Kane. And yeah, we're just trying to build Alex Kane back up after his recent loss. And we're keeping him off screens for now, but he has managed to pick up a win tonight off screen, defeating the commentator slash wrestler Brent Backlund. And Alex Kane there with an in-ring performance of 69, which is nice. Brent Backlund gets a 26, which I believe is his highest rating yet, and the creative finish that we used was a success. And I believe that one was a bit of a gamble, so that's a good sign for things to come, because the Malachi Black versus Matt Riddle match also has a bit of a gamble creative finish on it, and hopefully that one can succeed as well. But overall, this dark match gets a 50 as we move on to a 69 rated match, as Janai Kai and Miranda Elise have defeated Hyan and Nicole Matthews in 9 minutes 49 when Janai pinned Nicole. And yeah, Janai Kai, former women's champion, defeating another former women's champion, picking up a win for herself and another former women's champion in Miranda Elise. And Elise there, the performer of the match with a 72, Janai Kai with a 65, Hyan with a 61, and Nicole Matthews unfortunately down there with a 56. And Hyan and Matthews got a tag team specialist bonus. Of course, they have teamed together before as the Cuddle Bastards, but tonight they're on the losing side of things in this dark match. But we move on then to the opening of the show as the commentary team break down the card for the night, before noting that the main event will see the women's championship match between Jordan Grace and Masha Slamovich, and that will main event the card under First Blood rules. And CM Punk came across well, Brent Backlund was very underwhelming. CM Punk improvised well and Brent Backlund didn't. And we got a green there for Ultramantis Black as well, with a 72 segment, which is better than last time and can hopefully help us on our way to a good rating. And we open up the show with a 75 rated match, which will definitely help the rating, as Yuma Ayagi has defeated fellow All Japan Pro Wrestling star Tetsuya Endo in 14 minutes 38 by pinfall, and this was a technical masterclass for the night. And Yuma Ayagi there with an in-ring performance of 72, so he is getting better, and we know that he's got the skills to really perform in the game, but it's just a case of getting him over in the United States, something that we can hopefully move towards with a win tonight. And this is, I can confirm, his highest rated performance yet, with his previous best being a 68. So hopefully we can really start to push Yuma Ayagi to the moon. And we have seen with Eric Hammer that with some wins under his belt and an increase in popularity, it can definitely help performances. And yeah, that looks like it will continue tonight after picking up a win in a good match with a 75 rating, as I say. But let's move on then to Eric Hammer's match and speak of the devil, as Eric Hammer has defeated Marshall Von Erich in 9 minutes 38 by submission and makes defense number 4 of the strong style heavyweight title. And this probably makes Eric Hammer the record holder for most defenses within a month. I don't think anybody else has made 4 defenses that quickly before, so that's certainly a feather to his cap. But in terms of performances though, he got a 57, which is slightly better than his best, but still good nonetheless. And Marshall was actually the better performer tonight with a 66 rating, helping us get up to a 68 for this heavyweight championship match. But we move on then to the women's match between Killer Kelly and Thunder Rosa, and the two former tag team partners going at it tonight. And we've managed to pull off an 84 here, so a potential candidate for the main event, but there's no title on the line, so we can't really justify that. But in any case, Killer Kelly has defeated Thunder Rosa in 14 minutes 20 by pinfall with a curb stomp, securing her first win back in strong style since the attack at the hands of Shun Skywalker's masked individuals. And Killer Kelly there with an in-ring performance of 83, so no pun intended, absolutely killing it there. Thunder Rosa with an in-ring performance of 54, so not great, but the chemistry definitely helped this one, with them both of course having great chemistry and a successful creative finish helping things as well. And yeah, an 84 is exactly what we need, and we need to get similar ratings throughout the show and hopefully do the same in tonight's main event to finally push us up in the Mid-South. Can we please do it? And continuing on with the theme of solid matches, we've got 78 this time around in the heavyweight division, as Malachi Black has defeated Matt Riddle in 10 minutes 25 by pinfall with a black mass. And that makes Malachi Black now 2-0 in the promotion, and he gets a 66 in-ring performance for it, and Matt Riddle got a 67, so slightly ahead, but a very close one there. And the creative finish that we used was a success, and that one was a bit of a gamble, so that's great to see. And we do have some more creative finishes laced throughout the show, and hopefully they can succeed as well, and they do have a better chance of succeeding than this one. So it's looking good for the night. And watch us get to the main event now and it failed, but we'll see. And the segment rating there, 78, as things continue, hopefully, to go up. And we have slightly gone down for this one though as we move to the junior heavyweight division, as Chris Brooks' time in the promotion for now has come to an end after losing to Viano Free Jr., who won by pinfall, of course, illegally using the ropes for leverage, classic Viano. And Viano now making his way back as a regular after taking a small amount of time off following his match with Kevin Blackwood, and of course the loss to Tyler Bate as well. And Viano Free Jr. there had a performance of 78, although it's not his best performance, which is still an 82, but still his average is currently in and around 80s, so it's near enough what we expect from him. And Chris Brooks though with a 67, so good performance from him, but not near his best, which was a 71 in his debut, I believe, against Roosh. But nonetheless, a 73 rated segment is exactly what we need in the mid-card. But we do continue on to another mid-card match, which has picked up a 78 rating once again, much like the Malachi Black match, as Mayu Iwatani has defeated the Death Match Amazon Arina Yamashita in 14 minutes 49 by pinfall with a dragon suplex. And in this one, we did see Arina take a stunt bump, which helped Mayu on her way to the win. And let's just say she was thrown off something or something like that. And Mayu has left this match a bloody mess, but as the winner. And we're just trying to give a little bit of an edge to Mayu as we try and rebuild her as a potential challenger for the Women's Championship and one of the favourites for the Strong Style Women's World Cup. And a win over the Deathmatch Amazon tonight certainly helps rebuild her credibility after losing to Jordan Grace for the Women's Championship recently. But in any case, Mayu did get an 81, so I think she's the best performer of the night so far, and Rina Yamashita got an in-ring performance of 57. Now, they've set a standard here for what we need for the main event, and it's up to Jordan Grace and Masha Slamovich to deliver. But first we do have the Junior Heavyweight Championship match, as we get a 68 rating, so in and around the same range, as Kevin Blackwood has of course defeated Roosh for the Junior Heavyweight Championship in 15 minutes 03 with a running knee strike. But interestingly, we saw interference or a distraction on Blackwood from Oni El Bendito. And we also saw, in response, Michael Dante come out. And he's supposed to have distracted Roosh, but I've said it on Blackwood, but let's just pretend that isn't the case. And Blackwood makes defense number 7 of his junior heavyweight championship. So yeah, El Bendito, for some reason, has come out and distracted Blackwood. Michael Dantes came out in response to this to even the odds, and Blackwood has defeated Roosh tonight. And interestingly, we saw Shun Skywalker interfere on Roosh's behalf recently, and now Bendito is doing it as well. So is there a connection there? Maybe, maybe not. But Kevin Blackwood got an in-ring performance of 77 and a 69 there for Roosh. And I think we made the right call to not make this one the main event, with it only getting a 76, and Kevin Blackwood's gimmick's getting stale, by the way, so we need to take note of that as well. But does that mean we made the right choice in making the main event the Women's Championship match? Or should it have been the Killer Kelly match, which is a non-title? We'll see. But let's get into that one then and find out who leaves tonight as the Women's Champion, as we get an 85 get in. That's exactly what we needed, as Jordan Grace has defeated Masha Slamovich in First Blood Rules in 18 minutes 50, so it went the distance when Masha Slamovich was busted open. And Grace now makes defense number 7 of her Strong Style Women's title, defeating somebody that has been somewhat of an ally, not officially, but they've kind of had shared enemies, let's say. And tonight they have gone one-on-one and had pretty good chemistry doing so, apparently, which is good to see. And Masha Slamovich has a hot new move, which helped as well. And so did the title on the line, and of course the prestige of a First Blood match as well. And Jordan Grace there with a 76 rating, which is great to see. And Masha Slamovich got a 61, so not too bad herself. And the creative finish that we used was a success, which again helped towards the rating, as we've finally, I think, done it in the Mid-South. I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm saying it now. I think we've done it. So let's find out if we've first increased in the Mid-South. And it's saying 38 regions does confirm that. And we get an 83 overall, which isn't far off our best show. Whilst the touring shows are kind of getting difficult to book to increase popularity in the Mid-South, we can definitely do so with these main shows where we can really go all out. And we can't exactly book our best cards ever in the touring shows, because it's kind of building towards this kind of rating once a month. And let's find out though if we've done it. But first, let's address the locker room, and we're of course going to praise Mayu Iwatani, who killed it tonight with the best rating of the night. Also, Killer Kelly was right up there as well. And also want to praise Alex Kane, who isn't happy with me for making him lose to Eric Hammer. So let's praise those three. And Mayu Iwatani was pleased, so she got a boost in morale. Killer Kelly seemed pleased, so she didn't, and Alex Kane seemed pleased, so he didn't as well. And as for profit, we've made $250,000 on the night, which I think is a record, if not near enough. With us actually making $256,195 on the night, and we have now surpassed the 2 million mark, with us now having 2.1 million in the bank. That's before the taxman comes knocking at the end of the month, and we'll see how much we've got left in just a week or so. But have we done it? Have we gone up in size in the Mid-South? More importantly, because that's been really difficult to do in today's episode, and it's getting to the point where we need to just have banger shows in order to grow there any further. And have we done enough as well to go up twice in the Southwest in order to finally get to medium size? I don't think we've done the Southwest, but hopefully we've done the Mid-South, so let's find out. And we have hit 59 popularity in the Mid-South, but as expected, it's going to take a little bit more work to get that Southwest up to 35, but we're halfway there now, as the Mid-South has finally hit 59, as the whole of Europe has now gone up to 4, and the rest has gone up to 21, as has Narissa Dente. Centro is now up to 11, and Occidente is now up to 9 as well. Puerto Rico and Hawaii are now up to 14. Southeast is up to 32. Northwest is up to 20. New England's up to 15. Midwest is up to 29. And Mid-Atlantic and Great Lakes are up to 19. And as I say, more importantly, 59 there in the Mid-South. We're going to keep pushing on then today and get this done, and we're going to get up to 35 in the Southwest. I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't know whether we're going to have to spill into the Women's World Cup, but it will happen. But let's quickly check the emails, and we do have a few departures then, as Zena, Tetsuya Endo, Steph Delander, Roosh, Rina Yamashita, Oni El Bendito, Nicole Matthews, Matt Makovsky, Masha Slamovich and Chris Brooks have all left Strong Style following the end of their touring contracts. But I'm sure we're going to see many of them down the line, especially I liked Chris Brooks' work, Roosh as well, Oni El Bendito is certainly somebody I'm going to have my eye on as well, and so is Steph Delander. She never got to actually debut for us, which is a shame, and it would have been nice to be able to get her in to represent Australia in the Women's World Cup, but we know that isn't going to happen because of her injury. But anyway, we've only got about a week left until the end of the month, so let's skip forward and see how much the taxman has charged us for this month and see how much money we've got left in the bank. Okay, so we are at the end of the month then, and we do have some emails to attend to, and Kevin Steen has officially left WXW and joined WWE, as that contract has finally been confirmed. Yuma Ayagi's loan with Dragon Gate has come to an end. Zack Sabre Jr.'s contract, interestingly, is up with New Japan, but they have made an offer to keep him. Now, if we take a look, it is an exclusive written contract for 2 years, and it's something obviously we can't compete with, but it would be lovely to see Zack in a Strong Style ring at some point. And also, all of our broadcast deals have come to an end, but we're going to go and renew all of those in just a second and see if there's any potential new options. And for Mid-South regional battles, we have come out at number 3 there, and we'll get a boost in attendance this month. But we're here to find out how much tax has been taken from the company, and are we still above the 2 million mark? And no, we're not. We've got $1,729,000 in the bank, and the tax man took $250,000, so essentially the entire profit that we made on the last show. But we did make plenty of money on the touring shows to make up for it, of course. And there has been some miscellaneous costs as well. And could somebody please tell me what this general cost is here? Because I would like to get rid of that somehow. And we've also had some legal costs as well. And as we get bigger, of course, there's going to be more expenditure, and that's natural. But we have made a merchandise sales record this month. We've also broken the sponsorship record and not quite the broadcast revenue record, but ticket sales are an all-time high as well, and it's an all-time profit, which is great to see. But as for the rest of this episode then, hopefully we can get over the line with the next Strong Style Propaganda show, and we may potentially have to go into the Women's World Cup Night 1, which is something that I definitely don't want to do, because I feel like that needs its own episode within itself. I think that would make this episode a little bit too long, and it's probably already at that point now, but hopefully you are enjoying it and with me right until the end. And shout out to everyone that's still watching. But before we get into the episode of Propaganda, which hopefully we can go all out in and really try and pull off a good rating to try and get that boost in the Southwest. And before we get there, though, I do want to make one small signing, and this search here is some scouting for some Puerto Rican representation in the Women's World Cup that I've been doing off screen. However, what we need to focus on is this episode of Propaganda, and somebody that we're going to be bringing back into the company for one night only. Well, not one night only, I'm sure he'll appear at some point again in the future, is Pac. Now, we need ratings, and Pac has been one of our best performers in the ring. However, we didn't let go of him because of his in-ring work. It was because of his unwillingness to kind of, well, put people over. So we're going to bring him in, though, to try and score a high rating. And if we do take a look at our top matches, you can see there Pac is in the top 2. And actually, speaking of the top 100s, let's quickly check where our last show is in terms of overall. And yeah, you can see that it's joined second, so a good way to end that tour. But anyway, let's get to Pac, and we're going to bring him in on a one-night deal, and he will be appearing on Propaganda, probably in the main event against one of our other top stars, hopefully someone that he would be happy to lose to. We'll go from there. So we're just going to offer him a handshake deal, 1 month, 1 appearance, and offer him... When he wants 30% by default, we're going to lower it to 25% for merchandise, and he's happy to accept. So let's go forward then to the 12th of June, which will be the next episode of Propaganda, or actually we might bring it closer to try and give us some more time to prepare for the Women's World Cup and make sure that we get all the signings done. Yeah, I think what we're going to do instead then, actually, let's move it to Thursday the 7th of June. And the only person that would be missing is Jordan Grace. And I don't think the women's title will be on the line anyway. And then we can put Mayu on the card, we can have Pac on the card, and really try and stack this episode of Propaganda against some of the Propaganda talent, potentially, at least in some of the mid-card matches. And then we'll go from there. So let's go to the 7th of June for this one. Get that saved in, and then we're going to skip to there now. So here we are then on the day before the show, and we don't have too many interesting emails, but we do have the confirmation that Pac will be returning for the promotion tomorrow night for one appearance, and hopefully he can help us get a banger rating, of course. We do have actually a news piece here that says that fans are amazed by Shun Skywalker at the recent Dragon Gate Rainbow Gate Night Free event, and apparently it looks like he has a hot new move which should benefit us as well. So maybe we rerun Pac versus Shun Skywalker at Propaganda. That was Pac's last match, and if we take a look, I think Shun Skywalker beat him. And yeah, you can see there that that was our best match ever with a 95 rating, so maybe we run it back, maybe we don't. And another thing we need to do before we get into the show tomorrow night is to renew our broadcast deals. And I have looked at all the networks that would speak with us, and we've got all the same ones as before. So we've got High Spots, IndependentWrestling.tv, Remix, and YouTube USA. But now we also have an additional one in Premier Streaming Network. So we're going to talk to them first and get a new deal for events. And we're going to go for, once again, a 6-month deal. And we're going to go on demand, as always. And then we're going to go and try and get as much money out of this as we can. And they're happy at 65%. So we're going to go with that 6-month deal for 65% to us. So this is a subscription service, so we should be making money out of it. So let's do that. And I'm also not going to bore you, and I'm going to go and renegotiate with the other ones that we had before on the best terms possible. So I'll go and do that now, and I'll be back with you in just 1 second, probably at the show. Okay, so we are at the booking screen now, and I've just realized that I wasn't recording the pre-game stuff. But what happened was we had Brick Savage, who will be hanging around backstage. I can't see him on the roster list, but he is here, and he has an intense personality, so he would only have a negative impact on us if he had bad morale, so there shouldn't be any issues there. We also got a incident where Janai Kai was given once again psychology tips by Thunder Rosa, and she's now currently at 59, so not a huge increase from where she was a couple of months ago, but I think it was the second time this episode that it's happened. And also, we had a really successful creative meeting. Now, I'm not sure if I can remember all of them. I think we got this Kevin Blackwood one, which was likely to succeed. We got a Killer Kelly one, which was a safe bet. And we had Viano Free Jr., a near certainty. And I think we also had a near certainty for anybody as well. I think it was one of these here. And yeah, it must have been this one at the bottom. So it was one of the most successful creative meetings that we've ever had. And unfortunately, it wasn't on camera. And also, we are currently at the American Bank Center in front of hopefully 10,000 people, but our expected attendance is 9,320, I believe, if I remember rightly. And also we had a really successful team bonding meeting as well, where we only had positive reaction from the locker room and strengthened a bunch of relationships, including mine and Steve Austin. So again, really good pre-show, and not one bit of it was recorded, unfortunately. But what will be recorded is tonight's show that will see all hands on deck, apart from Jordan Grace and Matt Riddle, who's now decided he's going to MLW tonight, even though that wasn't a thing when I checked availability. But nonetheless, let's book the show, and please, I'm going to pray to whoever's up there that they can help us get across the line so this episode can come to an end. But let's get into it. Okay, so the card is booked in then, and we're going to open up with one dark match tonight as Brent Backlund teams up with actually his coach from the Dark Arts Gym, Malachi Black, and they will be taking on Joseph Finnick Jr. and Adam Priest of the Propaganda brand. And then we're going to open up the main show with the commentary breakdown, which has become a routine at this point, before Shun Skywalker takes on Eagle Blanc, two masked men in the opening match of the broadcast, before we go to Mayu Iwatani versus Thunder Rosa. Then LJ Cleary will take on Lavaniel, who will once again be joined by Genki Horiguchi, before our main event will see Pac versus Viano Free Jr. But unless I'm mistaken, this is a first time ever match in the main event. And we do have one person unhappy with losing tonight, and I'll let you guess who that is down in the comments down below. But anyway, let's get into it and finally try and get the popularity that we need in the Southwest. And we open up then with this dark match as Brent Backlund and Malachi Black have defeated Joseph Finnick Jr. and Adam Priest in 9 minutes 38 when Black pinned Priest after an Awari death foot stomp. And yeah, we've got a solid rating here of a 58, and it's a win for Brent Backlund as well, although we didn't get the fall, but it should hopefully help his popularity. AJ Mendez did some good work at ringside with Finnick Jr., and Finnick Jr. also had a hot new move, something that we should see later tonight as well with Shun Skywalker. And Malachi Black had an in-ring performance of 63, so the man of the match there. Joseph Finnick Jr. with a 57, Adam Priest with a 48, and perhaps more importantly, we have Brent Backlund pulling off his best rating yet with a 27. But let's continue on then to the main show, where we open up with a 71 rated segment, which isn't too bad, as Brent Backlund returns to the commentary booth to join CM Punk and Ultramantis Black to break down the card for tonight's show, including our huge main event that will pit the returning Pac against Viano Free Jr., who wants to bounce back following his recent failings against Hate. And of course, Pac recently lost to Shun Skywalker as well. And actually, we have sold out the building, if you can see there, 10,000 people. So we've actually brought in just under 700 more people than was expected, which tells me this might be a good show. And as I say, 71 rated segment here. And then we move on to a 79 rated match between actually Shun Skywalker and Myung Jae Lee. Now, I did say before that it was Eagle Blanc, and I changed it to Myung Jae Lee from Eagle Blanc because I was having a warning about Blanc being used too much in this 15-minute technical masterclass, which was needed for the card. And yeah, I forgot to re-click auto name for the segment, so that's why I said Eagle Blanc. But in any case, Shun Skywalker has got the win tonight against Myung Jae Lee in 15 minutes 01 by pinfall with a Skywalker moonsault after Shinsuke Nakamura interfered. And we have had a successful creative finish tonight, and this one was specific to Shun Skywalker and was a bit of a gamble, so it's good to see that it's paid off. Shinsuke Nakamura did good work at ringside, and Shun Skywalker did benefit from a hot new move as well and got a 78 in this one, and Myung Jae Lee got a 53, and that's a great way to start off the show. And Mayu Iwatani then has defeated Thunder Rosa with a dragon suplex in 14 minutes 43, so quite a lengthy match to be fair, with Mayu Iwatani picking up yet another important win as she looks to bounce back from her recent Women's Championship loss, where she unsuccessfully challenged for Jordan Grace, of course. And she is also coming off the back of a win over Rina Yamashita against the Deathmatch Amazon, so quite the challenge there. And again, she's got a good win tonight against the veteran in Thunder Rosa in a 73 rated match. And Iwatani there with a 75 performance, so not her best, but Thunder Rosa got a 48, which isn't too bad, and yeah, a good match for the mid-card for this show. And then we drop down a little bit more as we get towards the main event then, with a 67 rated match this time, as LJ Cleary has managed to defeat Lavaniel with a fast roll-up. And this was after Lavaniel's new manager, Genki Horiguchi, accidentally hit Lavaniel with an elastic band, and he was aiming for LJ Cleary, and this is a gimmick that we brought over from Dragon Gate as we recently covered, where he normally accidentally hits himself, but this time he's accidentally hit Lavaniel, and that's kind of blindsided him, and an elastic band in the face can't feel great, and LJ Cleary has managed to get a roll-up there. And LJ Cleary, though, got an in-ring performance of 69, which is very nice, and Lavaniel got a 52, and we've got some good greens here as well, with Genki Horiguchi doing good work at ringside, as well as Lavaniel and Genki having a small bit of chemistry, which is great to see. And as I say, 67 rated here as we go into tonight's main event, which should carry us home as we pull off an 89 performance from Viano Free Jr. and Pac, as the reliable bastard has once again delivered for us. And I think that may break into the top 3 matches of all time, which means Pac has all 3 spots at the top. But Viano Free Jr. has defeated Pac though, and of course he was unhappy with doing it, even though there's not much popularity difference in the Mid-South between the two, which is a real problem. And I don't know why Pac's like that, but it has happened in 9 minutes 07 by pinfall with a Viano driver after a distraction from Shun Skywalker. Now we've seen a lot of interferences revolving around Shun Skywalker, whether it's people getting involved in his matches or him getting involved in others, and I don't know, maybe something's going on there, but we will see as things play out, hopefully in the next episode, because I want to get this one finished with, hopefully with a increase in the Southwest, and this will certainly help us towards that goal with an 80 rated segment here as Pac picks up a 74, so not his best performance by any means, and actually if I can check, his best performance is an 84 up until this point, so he's 10 points off that. And as for Viano Free Jr., his best performance is an 82, and he's not far off that either with an 81 here. And Viano Free Jr. though had a creative finish that we talked about earlier, and it was a success, which certainly helped. And a 89 here to main event propaganda in front of a sold out, as you can tell there at the top, American Bank Center, and we've actually had just under 700 more people in the building than we expected, likely because of how good this show is going to be. And if we take a look, we've managed to get an 84 rated show, which is our second best show yet, and we have increased in 45 regions. Now, I didn't cover it earlier, but this new broadcast deal with Premier Network must show in another region that we haven't been reaching before. So let's take a look at that in just a second. But first we start off with the financial report, as we've had quite a wage-friendly night, with the worker costs being right down there at 17,000, and we've managed to make $196,479 on the night as we creep closer to finally ending a month over 2 million. And let's check popularity recap then. And the main things we need to focus on are the Southwest and what this new region is that we're apparently reaching. So let's go to it, and please be enough. And it is, finally, we've done it. Oh God, we've done it. Finally, it feels like so long. 38 episodes, God knows how many shows, but we're now actually 60 in the Mid-South and 35 in the Southwest, which takes us to medium size. And also a nice little rise there in the Tri-State from 16 to 17 is the exclamation mark on the night. But we have done it. Finally, and that also means that we don't need to go into the Women's World Cup today. And the extra region that we are showing in is Australia, and we're actually 2 there. We haven't gone up. And there we have it then. Pac gone from Strong Style. Thank you, Bonnie lad. And is he still willing to speak to us? And he is, which is great to see. And we've done it. There it is. Strong Style Americas have risen to medium size. And it feels good. It really does. Let's take a look at size criteria. And we are officially halfway to our goal of getting to Titanic. And we've gone from insignificant, literally a minuscule piece of dust in the wrestling business, to tiny. We've laid the foundations. We've built a fan base to get to small. And now we're at the crossroads where we've achieved 59 popularity in the Mid-South, in our home state of Texas, of course, and the surrounding areas. And actually also perfectly, we're starting to branch over into the Southwest, where there is a culture of lucha libre, of course, in California and right on the border of Mexico there. It kind of feels fitting that that is where we're bleeding into the most with our Lucha Res product. And I don't really know what to say at this point other than I'm really happy that we've finally done it. And I hope you are too. And again, the support on this series, I mean, I thought the support on ECW Lives was great, but this is a whole new level. And thank you to everyone that's watched up until this point. We're halfway there and we will get there. And I'm going to try and get more episodes out to you. I really am trying my best. And what a great way to end the episode. I've got really nothing else to say. But apart from, join me next time where we're going to have the Strong Style Women's World Cup. But until then, make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss it, and drop a like on this video as we look for 400 likes. But until next time, finally, peace.